93.3 Nigeria Info. Thank you so much for joining the business world. Affecting future. How are you doing? My name is Choma Izinwafon. Yeah, 20th day in the month of November. Someone said how many days to New Year? I'm not even thinking New Year right now. Let's just stay with this 20th day. Okay, and it's good to have you join me because today we're talking taxes. And of course, you know, there's a lot going on when it comes to taxation in Nigeria. There's a reform going on. I actually just left a meeting, a stakeholder session by the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee. That meeting just ended. And they gathered tax consultants and chief financial officers together to talk about that tax reform bills. Of course, you know that the president submitted four bills, yes, to the National Assembly last month, and the debate about content of that bill has been on ever since. And then this committee, that's the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, they've been busy. They've been meeting different stakeholders and trying to have conversations with them because these bills are going to repeal about 11 laws and amend about 13 laws. Okay, we're going to look into all of that. But first, I was very interested. A lot was said during the meeting I just attended. It just ended. I think it ended by 1:30. I joined online, and a lot was said. The one that really got my attention was the fact that the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee said that's Taiwo Oyedele. He said that this reform that is going on now, is about to begin, will reduce the the tax burden of everyone. The ongoing tax reform will reduce the tax burden of everyone. I tried to get him, get the voice as he said that. Let's see now. Let me see if I can quickly get it out and have you listen with me, because it pretty much forms the basis for this conversation. And just because I need you to have in mind what it is that the government is looking to do. And it appears to be at the forefront, at the center of what this current administration is looking to do: overhaul the tax system and harmonize all of the laws and have one law when it comes to taxes. How will that translate to development? How will that translate to the growth of our economy? Let's see. That's also the conversation we'll be having today. More importantly, how will this tax reform affect you? How will it affect you? How will it affect you? How will this tax reform bill affect your business? How will it affect your pocket? How will it affect your future? So much has been said, especially VAT, when it comes to the almighty VAT, which is the one that most Nigerians are interested in. Most times just want to hear, like, summarize this and tell me what are they saying I should pay in terms of VAT. Well, we're going to get to that. I'm trying to get the voice out, and once I get it out, I will play that for you so you hear from the horse's mouth, like they say. Okay, so President Bola Tinubu transmitted those four bills. Those four bills are the Nigeria Tax Bill 2024, the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill, the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill. These bills are looking to overhaul tax administration and revenue generation in Nigeria. Here is what the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, and that's Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, the soft-spoken Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, had to say today during the stakeholder session that held today. Let's hear it now.
Analysis for VAT. What we're doing now, reduce VAT revenue by 60%. You can't just say because you want to do waivers, you just crash government overnight. So even with the adjustment to VAT rate, it does not compensate for the reduction. We're hoping that we then get people who are not paying to start paying, and that's where the money will come from. One thing I can ask you to take away, and please note what I'm going to say now. Even where rates are going up, I give you the assurance and I challenge you to go and model it and tell me if we are wrong or we are misleading you. Everybody, including high net worth individuals, multinationals, large companies, small companies, individuals, household, everybody's tax burden will come down with this reform. If you take everything together, yes, everybody's tax burden will come down. Total package, right? So our tagline is we want to increase revenue without increasing tax burden. And that's what we have implemented, and we have modeled it, just to be honest with the Nigerian people.
Oh, yes, that's the chairman, Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee. The chairman there, Taiwo Oyedele, he's been talking and his presentation was simply fantastic. Honestly, I've asked for the slides, the presentation slides, and I look forward to us breaking it down on this show in coming days to really understand whether what is being said will match what will be done. Because obviously the media were going to track all of this and see. I mean, this is 2024. So from what we are seeing, by 2026, all of this can start showing up. Okay, but let's stay with you now. Okay, could the way Nigeria taxes businesses be changing for the better? Could it really be happening? You just listen to this, chairman. With the government's proposed tax reforms, are we looking at a future where taxes are fairer, more transparent, and hopefully more beneficial for businesses, whether it's a big business or a small business? How exactly will these changes affect your business? How exactly will it affect your income? Because you heard him. He's saying that's the tax bodies, and that sounds like, good music to my ears right now. And the quality of life for Nigerians across Nigeria, is it also going to change? What does it mean for that small shop at mile 3? The growing tech startups or the big players in the oil and gas industry? Let's talk. Taxing fairly, what Nigeria's tax reforms mean for businesses. Yes, you're welcome to the show. He's talking figures right here on 92.3. To help us break it all down and provide perhaps better clarity, because taxes and numbers, not everybody enjoys that thing. Okay, I have with me in the studio Mr. Clement Akanibo. He's a tax expert and expert in tax and financial management, and the CEO of Corporate Management Consults, a firm at the forefront of tax practice in Nigeria. Thank you so much, Mr. Akanibo, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We're going to go on a short break now, and pretty much that's like our market watch time that was taking. Okay, so when we come back, we're just going to stay on the tax reforms and all of it. If you have questions, yes, you can ask those questions. We're live on Facebook. We're also live on YouTube at Nigeria Info PH, and then you can drop messages on WhatsApp as well. The WhatsApp number 0809-030-6416. Yes, we're going to open the phone lines at some point and you can ask all the questions. There were so many questions during the session I attended today. Of course, like I said, there were chief financial officers of different companies, big companies, very big companies, and they ask all kinds of questions. Okay, so you get to ask yours here and they will be answered because I have a tax expert right here on the show. And yes, how is it going to affect your business? How is it going to affect your income and your future? That's the question. Is Talking Figures at 92.3 Nigeria Info. Chome Ezewafa is my name. We'll go on that break. When we return, we'll talk more. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Talking Figures right here, 92.3 Nigeria Info. And I think I should just apologize. We're going to have to bring this show maybe some other time when it comes to having an expert join us to have this conversation about the tax reforms and what it means for your business. Yes, I really look forward to that one, but for some reason, I won't be bringing our guest on the show today. Yes, we're going to have that maybe some other time. I mean, this reform is still at the National Assembly. A lot is being said about it, hearings and the rest of them. So the process is on. So there's going to be plenty times for us to, take the critical look we would have had today. So I'm apologizing and saying that we're going to bring you this particular conversation some other time. But for now, I think you should just tell me what you think about this tax reform. The question I asked just before the break. Do you think this can mean a change for your income, a change for your business? I mean, you listen to the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele. He broke it all down and explained a lot of things. And I just had to only play very little there for you. And perhaps I could play more, really. But I would like to hear from you at this point. What is it that you think about this tax reform? I think very quickly, I could also tell you some of the laws that will no longer exist after this reform is over. About 11 laws will no longer exist when this reform takes in shape. Capital Gains Tax Act is one of those laws that will no longer work. It will just, that's under the Nigeria Tax Bill 2024, 11 laws will be repealed. And one of them, Capital Gains Tax Act, Casino Act, Companies Income Tax Act, Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Act, Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Act, Income Tax Authorized Communications Act, Personal Income Tax Act. I think this one it gets built a lot on salaries as well. Then the Petroleum Profits Tax Act as well. All of these acts will no longer exist when this bill comes into force. The Stamp Duty Act as well will also no longer exist. Okay, and okay, so I think the Value Added Tax Act, that's the VAT Act, will also no longer exist. The Venture Capital Incentives Act, there are 11 of them. These 11 laws will no longer exist by the time the 4 bills are passed into law. Okay, and then we have 13 bills, 13 laws that will have to be amended by the reason of these 4 bills, especially the Nigeria Tax Bill 2024. By the time that becomes law, these 13 bills will have to be adjusted. 13 laws. Why am I changing it? These 13 laws will have to be adjusted, okay? Amended for it to align with these new bills, okay? One of them is the Petroleum Industry Act, number 6, 2021, okay? And the following areas will be deleted from the PIA Act. That is Part 1 to X, Parts I to X of Chapter 4 of the PIA Act will be deleted from the law. Okay, the 5th and 6th schedule, paragraph 6, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of the 17th schedule, and paragraph 6 of paragraph 14 of 17th schedule. Do not worry. I just want you to understand, okay, what this bill will really, these bills, okay, would really affect. So the PIA Act, a part of it will be deleted so that it aligns with this. We also have a part of the Nigerian Export Processing Zones Act, sections 8 and 18, subsection 1 and A will also be deleted from that law to align. And, like I said, the bills are looking to harmonize tax administration in Nigeria. And for us to do that, laws will go and some laws will be adjusted. I just shared the ones that will go, and now we're looking at the ones that will be amended. And the amendment means that some aspects of these bills will be deleted. Okay. And then the Tertiary Education Trust Fund. Okay. That's a TET Fund Act. A part of it also will be deleted. Sections 1, 2, and 3 of that law will be deleted. The National Information Technology Development Agency Act also sections 1, 2, and 3 will be deleted. The Oil and Gas Free Trade Zone Act will also be amended for sections 8 and 18, subsection 1A will also be deleted, okay, from the Oil and Gas Free Trade Zone Act. So it will be amended for those parts to be let go. Let's see now. The Customs Excise, the Customs Excise Tariffs Consolidation Act as well will also be amended. That's particularly section 21, subsection 2 of that law will be deleted. Okay, that's what will happen. And then the National Lottery Act will also be amended. All right. And the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act will also be amended. The Nigeria Startup Act. I mean, this act is a new one. I remember tracking when this came on board, and it's also going to be deleted. Some aspects of that act will also be deleted. So that amendment will also happen by the reason of the 4 new bills that will come into force. And then the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency Act, some sections will also be deleted. And then the Cybercrime Prohibition Prevention Act will also be amended. And it's looking, when you listen to the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, what goes through your mind? The phone lines, yes, I'm going to have to open the phone lines at this point. 0817-923-0002 is a number to call to tell me what you think about the reforming, okay, of the tax administration in Nigeria. What do you think about it? Do you think it's going to mean a complete overhaul, a true and real one? I mean, I wouldn't blame. I told you about the session I attended, right? And we had stakeholders who were quite skeptical. And I like that the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Mr. Taiwo Yedele, was understanding in sharing that, yeah, he understands that people may be skeptical, but then these things are going to happen, and they also have parameters to track how these reforms are going to work. The phone lines are open at this point. Yes, tell me what you think about this reform, the tax reform going on right now. 4 bills at the National Assembly. 0817-923-0003. And you can also call 0817-923-0007. Another profound thing about this session that I attended was that the chairman said that they were not going to tax poverty. He said no more taxing poverty. Okay, I mean, unpacking that alone is us having an overstretch of this show. So I'm not even going to go there, really. But I just needed to mention that when you say that no, there won't be taxing poverty. Basically, low income earners. Okay, low income earners, there will be no taxes on low income earners. But then, while dealing with a country without data, a country that's got no data and still learning to work with numbers and infuse those numbers into our policies, how will it work? Okay, what are your concerns? Are you a business owner? What's your concern when you think about the tax reform that is coming? Like I said, 11 laws will be deleted and 13 will be amended. And I called some of the key laws, and some of them are really ones that touch on our everyday dealings as business owners. What do you think about the tax reforms? Let's hear you. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Mr. Zion from Port Harcourt. I felt that this tax reform is not going through the direct processes. And if it is not properly handled and studied, it will be like the PIA, where some parts of the country will ask for a revisit of the bill or the law. Say, law now, let's revisit it because of the glitches we are going to experience and observe. Okay. One thing I observe from this tax reform is there's no equity in it. That's just a normal law. There's no equity in it. some states will still suffer a lot. I expected those discussing this issue to be explicit in what they are saying. For instance, let's look at this other VAT. I drink alcohol. You don't drink alcohol. Please, can my VAT be used for me and not for you? And what is the clause that says that 3 states are going to benefit 70% from it? On what grounds? Are there more states than other states? We need to sit down and discuss, not because Mr. President said, and we start doing things haphazardly. The educated people for once. I want to plead with Mr. President. Economy that tax its citizens, they have a legal framework that dissect the processes. Now we are talking about the minimum wage. How much are you, what is the percentage of the tax are you going to receive from that minimum wage? And what is it going to reflect on the amount that's going to remain on the people? So there is a lot, not this always a law. Let us amend it. I find out all what they are doing, they don't do the bidding of the president. Nothing more, nothing less. So we'll only end up by causing us more harm. I want to see items like taxing of houses, building taxes. You have 5 buildings in Nigeria. Where is your tax certificate that you are paying? Besides, they should be talking about all these rich men and big men who have been evading our tax. They don't pay tax. These are the people we should be talking about. It's not when they want to contest election, few months to that, they run to the tax office. Please give me tax certificate. Then the tax officer would now consider, okay, you are our friend. Let us give you 15%. Or you are issuing the certificate. We should stop it. Things doesn't work this way. So Mr. President should be patient, ask for professionals in the fields of taxation so that we can able to have an harmonized taxation for all Nigerians, including born babies. Mr. Zion.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Zion, for sharing your thoughts there. Okay, I hope we look forward to better days ahead, basically. Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me.
Good afternoon.
Yeah,
My name is Lawson. I'm calling from Yemekwa. The tax burden is very big for especially most Nigerians, even the workers, even in Rivers State, the tax burden is much. What Rivers workers are paying, different taxes, is so much. But thank God, these are bills that the president has prepared, and they are not laws. Yes, they are still bills that the National Assembly will look and discuss. Don't forget, when the president sent this bill, Ali Ndume came out and then said they don't need to look at anything, they should reject it and all that. But, he was criticized for those that have seen the bill, that because he has not seen it, and he was just talking. So they said he's going to reduce the tax burden. That we welcome. Anything that will reduce the tax burden on Nigerians is what we welcome. So when the Senate begin to look at it and begin to consider it and call for public hearing, then we'll get the details. But for now, all those that have talked about it, including the National Assembly, said it will reduce the tax burden. So we'll wait. We don't want to jump the gun. We'll wait and then we see, and then we'll know if actually it will reduce the tax burden or not. But for now, it's a welcome development. Even Rivers State, I feel, should take suit, follow suit somehow. But don't forget the Kogi State government, when they said they will pay the minimum wage and all that, they said that minimum wage will not be taxed. It will be tax free for a year. So I feel the Rivers State governor should also look at the tax burden in Rivers State. It is too much. If you see what workers are paying, nearly the entire salary is going away in the name of tax. So the Rivers State governor should also look at it. He's a good man, and then see if the new minimum wage, he can free them a bit from free it from tax. It's important, and it will be welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts there. Yes, We're talking the tax reforms that's coming. There's 4 bills that's been at the National Assembly, and those 4 bills, basically, the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, said that he's going to reduce tax burdens. I played his thoughts earlier during the strategy session, or rather stakeholder session that held, I think, 30 minutes. It ended up less than an hour ago. That meeting ended. I was a part of it briefly, and a lot was said. But I also would like to bring out an aspect of what was shared during that meeting, which is the fact that local governments will need to step up their game. Let me share that after I hear from the caller. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, you're welcome to Talking Figures.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, you're live. Welcome to Talking Figures. Go on.
Okay, that is Felix Adejo.
Okay.
What is the content of this tax bill so that we know more about it now?
I mean, we have like 4 bills, and unbundling them, it can't happen on one show. I've said that we're going to start touching on them as the years go by, as the times go by in coming shows. Okay, we're going to be unbundling them and looking at them. And for today, we're just looking at an aspect of it, which is one of the bills, the Nigeria Tax Bill 2024, which is going to mean that 11 laws will be repealed, and then 13 will be amended. And then I just wanted to get your thoughts on them very briefly. But in coming shows, yes, we're going to unbundle and even have experts talk to us about the implications of them.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so now during the stakeholder session today, I heard the chairman talk about the local government, and I like the fact that he even used his own local government as an example and talked about the dire need for reform. And he said something about 2,400 kilometers of roads, 2,100 unpaved and 300 paved, but requiring repairs. So his example painted like a vivid picture of infrastructural neglect, which is pretty much what we see in most local governments in Nigeria, where local government chairmen would maybe take a very small portion and pave it and then say, oh, dividends of democracy. And I kind of agreed with that idea that we use more data. Okay, so I believe he's explaining that the ongoing reform is going to mean that we now work with data. Okay, and even more compelling when he shared out of 18,000 households, 14,000 lack access to clean water, and many live without proper sanitation. And that's one aspect that we can also wonder, are we going to see this reform touch the everyday life of the everyday Nigerian? Okay, and it starts with the local governments, right? How are we going to ensure is left to see, really? Taxation in Nigeria has been criticized over and over again. Multiple taxation issues come up at various levels. So when we see this reform paying attention to local government administration, I think that's good news, really. Yes, the phone lines are still open. 0817-923-0002 is the number you can call. You can also call 0817-923-0007. Yes, the WhatsApp number. You can call. You can drop your messages on WhatsApp 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. What's your thoughts about the reforming of the tax administration in Nigeria? Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, welcome to Talking Figures.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. How are you?
I'm well.
Yeah, responding to your tax, presentation, vis-a-vis the interaction you had earlier with the Mr. Taiwo Oyedele's input. For now, most Nigerians are so, whether we are very skeptical about this government and the so-called new ideas on how to make things better for the citizens. Somebody called earlier and was talking about taxing structures by individuals in order to do this, do that. How much has government supported the individuals. So actually, the struggle that are making individuals struggle that are making to erect those structures. Because once such ideas come on board, some people will capitalize on that and start making others. And at the end of the day, the recipients will be the tenants who may be, living in those landless structures. And these tendencies that we are recycling poverty, which we are trying to, minimize in the, longer run. But further that most sectors in the urban cities, individuals struggle to actually fill boreholes. There's no pipeline water from any government, whether local government, state or federal. And people are making individual efforts to break through poverty and trying to bring up a tax regime that may not take into consideration the efforts individuals are making to break through poverty. So these are the government of the numerous other things that should be together. We're talking about something that will be found. But if you ask me, can any new thing come from this government that drives joy in suffering the citizens? I have my concerns, and they are legit concerns. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts there. That question is a rhetorical question. I do not have the answer. And I think there's we have like about 3 more years to see whether something good can come out of this administration. Looking at the tax reforms, basically, the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee is seeing that local governments will need to develop actionable data-driven plans to address the gaps that he mentioned when it comes to how they choose the projects to do and the ones that affect the people. He also thinks that he says that the reform will be people oriented. It will be about the people, and it's going to be fair. Low income earners will not be taxed. How do you know low income earners? What's going to be the benchmark to know who low income earners are? How are we going to get that data? Because the true actual low income earners do not own bank accounts. We've said repeatedly. What's that going to mean for you, for your income, for your future? 0817-923-0009 is also another number that you can call to join us on the show today. We're looking at the tax reforms in Nigeria. 4 bills at the National Assembly right now, and the president sent that October 3rd, 2024. It's been a month. Debates have been on, and currently I just joined another meeting with the stakeholders, tax consultants, and chief financial officers of different companies, and they all had their concerns. And the chairman of the tax reform committee really did quite a good job, I must say, in trying to allay those fears and concerns and issues of multiple taxation, assuring that they are being dealt with. I'd just like to play his let's see now. Let's listen to him again talk about VAT and then talk about the direct implication of this reform. Okay.
When we did the analysis for VAT, what we're doing now, reduce VAT revenue by 60%. You can't just say because you want to do waivers, you just crash government overnight. So even with the adjustment to VAT rate, it does not compensate for the reduction. We're hoping that we then get people who are not paying to start paying, and that's where the money will come from. One thing I can ask you to take away, and please note what I'm going to say now. Even where rates are going up, I give you the assurance and I challenge you to go and model it and tell me if we are wrong or we are misleading you. Everybody, including high net worth individuals, multinationals, large companies, small companies, individuals, household, everybody's tax burden will come down with this reform. If you take everything together, yes, everybody's tax burden will come down. Total package, right? So our tagline is we want to increase revenue without increasing tax burden. And that's what we have implemented, and we have modeled it, just to be honest with the Nigerian people.
All right, so that's the chairman, Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform committee and the strategy, this stakeholder session he had today with task consultants and the chief financial officer, CFOs today, and a lot was said. And what remains is work, a lot of work for us to have a holistic. If you are going to really truly have a holistic reform, there's work ahead. And from according to him, just towards the end of that session, he said it's everybody's work, and he's also encouraged everyone, okay, to be part of that reform. If you have questions, don't say I don't agree with this, I don't agree with this, I like this, I don't like. Whatever your opinion is, they say be a part of it. Get involved. I think the website is fiscalpolicy.com or something. You can just Google it, okay? Google it. Tax reforms in Nigeria. And I believe one of the sites that will come up is the one of the federal government, and you can engage them directly, ask your questions, find out how this reform will affect your sector. Find out how this reform will affect oil and gas, will affect the food industry, will affect, everything, okay? So if we're going to have a holistic reform, my take is we all need to work together. This is me starting my own part of the work, okay? Getting thoughts, sharing them, and of course, we're going to do the analysis some other time. We couldn't have them today, but definitely the conversation continues when it comes to this reform. A lot to unpack, and from my own projections, I think give and take, all of it may come into full force from maybe 2026, maybe not next year, maybe 2026, because engagements are still on. Stakeholders are yet to wrap their heads around all of this. But one thing is clear, the government is looking to simplify taxes. Can it work? What would it take? We'll see. It remains to tell. That's me really signing out on today's Talking Figures on 92.3 Nigeria Info. And if you were to be a part of those doing these reforms, what would your contribution, what would it have looked like? Okay, that's one thing I would also want you to keep in mind, what it is, and engage. The days of being the passive citizen is over. Whatever is decided in this bill, you're going to pay it. But I didn't have time. I wanted to look at the personal income tax that will also be affected by this reform. Okay, we're looking at 7% taxation on every 300,000 naira salary or something. But we don't have time to unpack all of this, so I have to go. And then, yes, we're going to definitely stay on this one. My name is Chioma Ezenwafo. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show. We're going to do this again next week, Wednesday. 2 p.m. is still the time. And we're always going to talk figures and numbers and help you make sense of the implications of the business stories we're churning out for you. All right, so up next is Rivers Today, the news, Rivers Today. And after that, Kalada will be here with hard facts. So much to talk about. Stay tuned.